fight. We don't have to kill. Everybody in the whole wide world really just needs to chill. No, we don't have to fuss, no, we don't have to...
Hello, welcome back to Just Chill with Oliver George, episode 16. The light is on. Please subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, we would really appreciate it. And if you already have, thank you so much. We appreciate that. If you're listening to the audio-only version, so Spotify or Apple Podcasts, then come check out what we look like. And if you want to contact the show, just to give some feedback or maybe cool guest ideas, justchillpodcasting@gmail.com. Now, before I intro my guest, this is going to be the first episode going up after the Strombo episode. So I did just want to thank you, George, again, for taking the time to come here. You flew from 3 cities that day. You had a thing early the next day. You really didn't have to come, and you came and you stayed for twice as long as you were supposed to. And it was just, I will cherish those memories till the day I die. And thank you to Raquel, the person from George's team that I was dealing with as well, because you were awesome, even though we only spoke briefly. Anyways, so please check that episode out if you haven't already. Now, to the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Love.
Hello.
Local comedian, actor, impressionist. Am I missing anything?
You could say YouTuber.
YouTuber, yes.
Karaoke host.
Karaoke host. I didn't know how deep you want to go. Perfect.
I mean, like, you could just rattle off more things about me. I am a former dog owner.
Yeah, how specific are we going to get here?
Yeah, I think I kind of like cornered the market with pervert. You didn't need to go further than that. It pretty much describes everything you need to know about.
Yeah, a lot of people are tuning out right now.
Yeah, well, sorry.
We're actually losing subscribers.
No, yeah, I'm just, it's hard being a creep nowadays.
Rough life for a creep. That's
it's
a new
tough,
hashtag.
Man. Yeah, no, we should have our own identity politics group.
Okay, well, I want to say I met you years ago, and for me personally, you were an inspiration to me because I think you were just
you're giving me way too much credit already.
No, man. I mean, I know you probably had been doing acting and other stuff before, but I think you were just getting into stand-up at the time.
Yeah,
it was around.
I feel like, yeah, you were one of those people who were around when I first got into stand-up.
Well, and I only did it more infrequently than I do now, back then. But I do remember that you still had your YouTube presence pretty strong, and I was really impressed.
Yeah.
And I asked you about it, and you just kind of said you just keep grinding and be patient, and you were just really kind to me. I always remember people who are kind to me when they don't really have to be,
Well, I try not to be a cunt, if that's okay to say, but...
Fair enough. Oh, yeah, please, swear all you want.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and we've been talking about collaborating on something since those days.
Yeah.
And now here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
It only took 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. Well, people probably know you best for your impersonations, though, right?
If you look at the numbers, yes.
Well, they're fantastic, so it's makes sense.
Yeah, no, I have like. Do you ever look at the analytics of YouTube?
Yeah, like what countries
see what
and stuff.
Countries are looking at you. I'm always surprised when people in other countries are like, I've watched like I have like 100 views in like Syria and stuff like that.
That's so strange.
I know, like, I mean, I guess there's Game of Thrones fans all over the world.
That's true.
At least there used to be, I don't know.
But it's amazing how the internet can connect you, and just by the click of a button, you can see that kind of statistical data, I saw us, it's nowhere in the hundreds, but it's some guy from, like, the Netherlands, and I thought the same thing. It's just so bizarre that I can just know that,
Yeah. I mean, it's probably somebody in the Netherlands, like, who is very depressed and on their laptop at like 6 in the morning,
or super
just
baked,
everything on. Yeah, people are super baked and they have their stuff.
That's okay. You're welcome here, stoned people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like let me just like do random YouTube searches and see what comes up.
Yeah, I've done that.
I feel like how I've gotten a lot of my viewership.
Well, you doing impressions helps because you're doing impressions of popular characters, so you can hashtag Peter Griffin or hashtag whatever. It's a great idea, honestly.
Yeah, I definitely you have to tag a lot.
Doesn't that get fucking annoying? Oh god.
Doing the tags, yeah.
And I never know if they're even working because I'm like, I got 1 subscriber this week, so I don't know if it's worth anything.
Especially when you have to strategically tag like Game of Thrones. Game, 1 tag. Of, 1 tag. Thrones.
Every character's name.
George, R, Martin. You know what I mean?
Hashtag Dinklage.
Yeah.
So was impressions was like how you started, or were you doing other things in theater and stuff before that, or like what's kind of your origin story? I always like to ask people.
My origin story
for performing and wanting to be an entertainer.
I definitely don't have as good an origin story as half the people on the walls of this basement do, but Impressions are something that I've done basically all my life. It started with me as a young child just repeating stuff I heard in whatever movies I was watching at the time ad nauseum, because I have the capability to rewatch. I'm a big rewatcher. Like my favorite movies, I've seen them all like 30 times.
Just to try and catch things you didn't see, or just because
that's the mark of a great movie.
Yeah.
If every time you watch it, you can catch
Easter eggs.
you find something else to appreciate, but also you can just have it on in the background. That's the sign of a great movie.
True.
So
sorry to interrupt, but yeah, because there's a lot of I don't want to say action movies specifically, but movies that can be so full of pizzazz in the moment, the first time you're seeing it, that it kind of fools you into being like, I guess that was a good movie. But then you actually rewatch it with a more critical eye, and you're like, this is garbage. Anyway, sorry. Please
I've had that
continue.
before. You ever seen the movie Undercover Brother? I used to love that movie.
I saw it ages ago. I don't remember it at all. Yeah, it was not super memorable.
That was the first example that came to my head. I have absolutely no idea why.
Or The Ladies' Man, a similar movie. That was pretty cool. I love Tim Meadows.
I've never seen that one.
Tim Meadows makes me laugh in anything that he's in. SNL, of course, but he was on The Goldbergs as well. He's one of the teachers, and he's just so deadpan delivery. It's just amazing. Anyways, please, the origin story. I want to stay on track here. And
so
growing up, you're kind of mimicking everything.
Yeah, and then eventually, like, sort of, once my balls dropped and my voice changed a little bit, I was able to manipulate it more and start sounding like the people I was impersonating. So, starting with, like, Stewie Griffin, I would watch an episode of Family Guy, sort of a ritual in the playground of grade 7 and 8, like when Family Guy made the comeback, right? Because they were
they got canceled,
and then they came back in 2005, and the sort of ritual, the morning ritual on our way into school was like sort of like everybody would be talking about the funniest episode, funniest moments from the Family Guy episode, and I would be the one who would be like, yeah, but then there was that one joke where Stewie was like, oh, Brian, blah, 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 you know what I mean? So
even that was pretty damn spot on.
I sort of realized that like there was a I don't know, there's something there. You ever heard my Herbert impression?
I don't know that I have. I probably haven't watched a lot of your... Yeah, the old dude, yeah.
Yeah, like, now it's mostly thrown on, you got that? Got a whole shelf full of popsicles. It sounds really good in this...
It does, you get the whistle.
Yeah, no, and especially as... Herbert like to get nice and close to the microphone so you can hear this wind whistling through my teeth.
Dude, so good. I'm glad, too, that you led with the impressions, because I always feel like with an impressionist or a magician, I used to know a magician, and I always felt like I was bothering him, like, hey, do a trick, Some people act like it's an annoying thing, and I'm like, it's a gift. So I'm glad you just jumped right in there, because I'm going to milk it now.
You know what, I haven't had a proper impression session in a long time.
Oh, impressions.
I think all my friends are tired of my shit, is what that is. For a long time, it was just a party trick.
Okay, so you do have a pretty fantastical story of how things progressed from there, which was you can tell the story, but you ended up on Jimmy Kimmel.
Right. The origin of the YouTube channel is because I was doing, like I said, it was a party trick. So like everybody I was in contact with would, if we were at a party or something, would say like, Steve, do that impression, and then it would end up being like a long string of impressions and like sort of holding court with like
one man show.
Just a stoned drunk loser entertaining more successful drunks, and then one day I was in university and one of my friends had the idea like, you should put these on YouTube. You should like.
What year is this?
This would have been 2012.
Okay.
2012 was like...
So YouTube had been around for like, 7-8 years or something, I think?
Yeah, no, it was... everybody watched YouTube, but like I never thought of having my own channel. And then you could make money off of this. So I'm like, I'll give it a shot. Yeah. And then like the first impression video I did was... there was this big fad in 2011, 2012, where it was like, shit, blah, 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 says.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Shit white girls say, or shit Asian dads say.
Yeah. Sometimes
so I made a video that was shit Joe Pesci says, where there's like a bunch of like a sort of a montage of Joe Pesci saying lines from like his movies, like, oh, you're not gonna hear from him no more, like, you know.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that, and that did okay. And then I did another one where we just gotten back from a strip club in Kingston, and my friend came home from another bar because he was not a creep, and he said, you do the impressions. And I said to my other buddy, I was like, get the camera, like, let's just film this and see how it happens. And that ended up being like my first, what I would call a modestly viral video, in that it got over 100,000 views in like a matter of a day.
Those are some numbers.
Well, 'cause
in that amount of time, Jesus.
In that era, I think the big, like, to me, I think the predecessor to like Barstool Sports was this site called Bro Bible. Do you remember Bro Bible?
Vaguely.
So that was a website that posted my video, and that's what spread it.
And it was like a college humor type.
Yeah,
okay.
just like basically what Barstool is now with their like Instagram, Twitter presence was what Bro Bible was in 2012. Instagram still wasn't a thing that you could post videos to. It was a website that shared clips and stuff like that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so they shared my stuff, and then it just sort of spiraled from there.
Which impressions were you doing in that one?
Oh, that one I did.
Or I'm sure people can see it online. I'll post one of those little links.
Yeah, I did Gollum. I did it's, you know what? Watch the video.
Yeah, go check it out. I'll have a tag
go watch the video.
or whatever they're called.
The video's called Steve Love - Drunk Impressions.
Cool.
Excuse me.
How drunk were you?
I was pretty drunk. I was probably more stoned than drunk, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but...
I love how you point at me when you say stoned.
No, I was pointing at the weed.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, you wouldn't be incorrect, you know.
No, I'm sorry. Not trying to accuse you of being a stoner while you're rolling pot during your podcast.
What is stoned is more my argument, you know what I mean? But yes, I'm a user of cannabis.
No, yeah. I'm a user of cannabis too, but I don't think I can right now, because if I use that now, all of a sudden you will have a very quiet podcast. I will start to answer a question, and then I will be in my own head thinking about some episode from some HBO series from the mid-2000s.
Go down a rabbit hole, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know?
Hey, man, you do you.
It hits me hard, and it hits me harder than I think it hits most people.
A lot of that comes down to strain awareness, too, but...
Oh, yeah. You just don't have the right strain, bro.
Yeah, I know, it sounds like a line, but it has some truth behind it.
No, it absolutely does. No, because now that you've got the dispensaries...
Well, and CBD is a lot more awareness for CBD these days. Like,
yeah.
Anyways, I do want to know, after that video, how long was it until you got the call for Jimmy Kimmel? And that was via satellite, but still badass.
Oh, it was fucking badass.
You must have felt like a fucking rock star, like, because you nailed it too.
Yeah, but I was doing it from my parents' house, where I was still living at the time. So
like, yeah, I'm pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a meme. But yeah, so actually, like, when I did my first Game of Thrones video, Jimmy Kimmel tweeted it, and that got it like blowing up.
Yeah, that in itself was pretty cool.
That was 2012 also, and then it was 2014 when I had made another modestly viral Game of Thrones video that I got someone from his team reached out with over YouTube. And it was this channel that said Jimmy Kimmel Live, and it's 0 subscribers. And I'm like, what is this? And like the body of the message was basically like, I'm a line producer or some sort of
employee, yeah.
Some sort of title from Jimmy Kimmel Live, and we want to do a segment where we have Impressionists, and we'd like to have you on the show. Here's my email and my number, so give me a shout. And I was like, this is sketchy as hell. Why would I respond to it? It is, exactly.
Yeah, so they don't get hassled, yeah.
Well, it's like there's lots of accounts that they use to reach out to people for the like Wall of America segment, because that's basically where they sort of highlight viral videos and stuff. So the Wall of America segment was what my segment was. It had me, Schaefer Bates, and another fellow, Charlie,
That's pretty good.
Charlie Puth? I don't know. It was. God damn it! I'm so sorry that I forgot your name, bro. But
Charlie's, it's half of his name, you know.
There was actually the third
Unless
guy.
he's out there like, my name is Carl.
No, there was a third guy who was apparently there was a third guy who was supposed to do the segment with us, and he called himself the Human Voice Box. I've never heard of this guy.
Oh, it's kind of a cool name.
I mean, sure, if you're gonna call yourself the Human Voice Box, you
Little
better back it
pretentious,
up.
I guess.
That's
Yeah.
the thing is, like, he kept bailing on the NBC or the ABC people, and they're like, well, we can't have this guy on. He keeps bailing. He keeps coming up with excuses like, oh, I can't. My girlfriend needs to borrow my computer. It's like, dude, this is your life, bro. Like,
Yeah.
what do you? You're turning down a chance to be on national television for whatever reason. So, anyways, the guy who they ended up getting was just a friend of one of the producers who does this Jon Snow impression at parties.
Cool.
And that was how he got on the show, and he didn't mind, obviously, because he's like an actor in Los Angeles, so like he welcomed the publicity.
Yeah, you'd be super excited.
So yeah, and then there was we did the thing.
Was there a point where you were like, after the message from them, you're like, I'm going to LA, and then they're like, Vice LA.
No, we discussed what the segment would be. Basically, when I initially called the guy. He told me that it was like this Wall of America segment that you'd be talking to us through, basically like a
Sorry, I didn't put that together.
Skype type program, and it was actually more convenient than I mean, it would have been cool to like go out of LA, but like I don't know how they would have financed it.
Way.
I don't know if they would have financed it or if they would have had me go out of pocket for that. But
I think if it's something like that, they'd probably fly you out. But that's probably why they didn't fly people out, because they're like, fuck it, let's save a few bucks, and technology's great.
Let the losers do it from their computer lounge.
Well, one thing that I found amazing, and I wanted to ask you, is like, what was it like? Because you were doing this segment while he was there, the actor, and you're doing it to him. Is that like nerve-wracking to be impersonating someone to their face, essentially?
It was the most awkward thing, a very awkward way to impersonate someone. I impersonate my friends all the time, but I've never had,
But that's done from a place of love, because you're friends, and I think there's an understanding there, right?
They hate it.
Oh, do they?
I have friends that I do impressions of, and literally every single one of them is like, no, that doesn't even sound like me, man. Get out of here, man.
Yeah, it's hard to accept, I'm sure.
It is hard to accept.
Yeah.
But other people tell me it's great, so whatever.
Yeah, everyone else in the room probably agrees that it's a good impersonation. It's just that one person doesn't believe it. But even when you hear a recording of yourself, a lot of people say, oh, that doesn't sound like me.
Exactly.
So, everyone's just used to that one sound in their head.
Mm-hmm. I hate the sound of my own voice. That's
Really?
why I pretend to be other people.
Wow, interesting.
No, I've
You have a nice voice.
I've grown accustomed to it because it's like my trade, right? Like
Yeah.
I do a lot of voice acting work, and it's just in my neutral
Normal
Canadian
voice.
palate.
Yeah. Well, I've sort of been feeling that way as well through editing. I cringe a lot less now when I edit some of these podcasts than I did with some of the first episodes. Part of that was more trying to learn to be a good host, which I'm still trying to do. But yeah, just little things you notice and you try to improve on.
Experience is the best teacher.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, but I'm sure once he started laughing, to get back to that point, it must have made the tension kind of leave a little bit.
What eased the tension for me was that they gave me more voices to do. The other guys were just doing Jon Snow. They were just doing kids.
So you're like,
impression.
shit, I'm the best one.
Well, I mean, I don't want to say. I was given the best opportunity because I'm sure Schaefer definitely can crush all the Game of Thrones accents. I don't know about the other. I don't know about Charlie. I don't know. I think he was just like a party trick, but like, they gave me the opportunity to do a couple of other characters, and it killed. Like,
oh yeah, I've seen the clip. You did great.
he was loving it. By the time I got to do his impression, he's like, oh, I can't wait to see this.
Nice,
you know what I mean?
He was warmed up. Yeah.
And I completely disappointed him. I could see it on his face. He's like, that doesn't sound as good as the other ones.
Really?
I kind of
thought
he was disappointed.
I'm gonna have to rewatch it now. I saw it back in the day, but I thought you did well.
You should just have Kit Harington on your podcast and ask him what he thinks.
Yeah, I'll get right on that.
Someday.
Honestly, I'm trying to reach out to people that I think that might, Canadian stars, so to speak, because people that might actually come through Ottawa. I have to get people to come to my basement. So.
Dude, this is a great basement to chill in.
Thank you. Yeah, that's why it's just chill.
It's a great studio, yeah.
And just chill is what I want to do with my guests. So
Exactly. Like if I were, somebody who has more bearing in the entertainment community, I suppose.
I'd say in Ottawa you do.
This wouldn't feel this wouldn't feel out of place. You know what I mean? Like this feels like a proper podcast studio, which it is.
I think we straddle the line here with the setup and just it being just me and my dad, and like we're kind of amateur, so it's a balance.
You have a producer. Like even Bill Burr just has him in the room. You know
That's
what I
true.
mean?
Yeah.
You have an engineer.
Well, we've talked about
how many different hats do you wear, Brian?
I don't know, 3 or 4.
Yeah, financial backer.
Financial backer.
Okay, yeah.
That's a big one.
Hey man, my parents are my financial backers too. So you know what I mean.
Yeah, my dad. We've talked about this before, but it didn't really start off that he was supposed to do this. It was that I went to Just for Laughs just to see some shows with Kelly and another couple that we know, and we went to see Kyle partially, and I told him I was going to come check him out and support him and stuff. So when he agreed to come on, it was just kind of like, yo, Dad, like the room's pretty much set up, we've got the gear, let's plug it all in and get it going, because Kyle...
All you were missing was a guest, right?
Well, no, Kyle said he would do it, right? But he was leaving back for Toronto in X amount of days, so it was, my dad just kind of jumped into this role because we needed someone to do it. Okay. But it just kind of stuck because we've been having fun and spending time together, it's really awesome with your dad.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
So, yeah. So the Jimmy Kimmel stuff led to even crazier things, which...
Right, yeah.
I mean, you can tell the story. It's always easier if the guest tells their own story when it's stuff like this, but...
The email. The email that altered my life for the better, for sure.
That you had to keep secret, too.
I did have to keep it secret, yeah. I was on my way to the cottage, actually, with a bunch of friends, and then I, checked my email right before we got there, because, I didn't want to be, disturbed.
Yeah.
I was checking my email to see if there was any other things that were popping up, because after the Kimmel thing, there were I did a couple interviews on local CTV stations.
Yeah, I saw you on the morning show and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to just check if there was anything from my agent about more opportunities like that.
Okay.
And then it turned out to be an email from Dan Weiss and Dave Benioff who were saying, we saw you on Kimmel. We've been watching your stuff for years, and we were wondering if you would like to do a scene on the show. And I was like, what the fuck?
That's nuts.
I lost my mind, and then I told my agent about it, and she was like, this could be somebody fucking with you. These are 2 Gmail accounts.
It's true.
It's this could be a hoax of some kind. And I'm like,
why would someone
anyone do that?
Yeah, that's so mean if it was fake.
No, that's literally that scene in Family Guy where it's like, hey, Brian, this is Jack Nicholson. I read your script. And then they're like, hey, your script sucks, bro.
Yeah, it's just needlessly
Me and my
cruel.
buddy Jim found your script at Starbucks. Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone would be that mean just for the sake of it. And for your sake, I'm glad that's not what happened.
No, man, it was
so
legit.
Did they fly you out, or did you have to pay to go out there?
No, dude, it was...
they covered it all?
They paid for my flights, they paid for my hotel.
And you went up with your pops, right?
Well, they paid me like a proper actor, too. Yeah, my dad came after I'd shot my scene, because his dad's from Northern Ireland, which is where we were. And he actually visited the set. He met Rory McCann, who's the actor who plays the Hound.
Okay.
And,
oh, jeez.
Dude, could not have been a kinder man. I love Rory McCann to this day because of how, we bonded a little bit on set, and having dinner before we shot the scene the night before. I mean, we bonded a little bit. I didn't want to presume to call it a friendship, but
you guys got on pretty good.
There's a certain fellowship you have to have with
camaraderie,
fellow actors.
yeah.
It's a collaborative art form, so you have to be
You're all working
friendly.
for the, yeah,
exactly. You have to be
projects.
friendly with everybody. But he really when he met my dad, he was so nice. He was so nice to him, and was asking him all these questions, oh, your dad's from here, blah blah blah, and it just really touched me. Yeah, what a classy guy he was, and what a nice fella. And just an absolute gem of a human being, just lives on some island in Scotland, has a sailboat. The guy has a flip phone, or at least he did back in 2015.
Grid, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. It's nice when you meet someone, a celebrity, same thing I felt with George. It's just wow, what a genuine, nice person. And it's not smoke and mirrors, it's not bullshit. It's you're just a down-to-earth, normal dude, and you're fucking... Anyways.
You can tell from how they treat the servers.
True, yeah, stuff like that.
They're nice to you, but then they're not nice to the server. That kind of, that's like that Muhammad Ali. I think that's a Muhammad Ali quote. Something like that.
It's definitely true, yeah. When you were on the set, did you do other impersonations to people's face in person, or was that too intimidating?
Aside from my brief but steamy relationship with Amelia Clark, I didn't meet anyone else.
Oh, no way. Yeah, I guess they only shoot certain scenes. And
I would assume that there were... I saw Finn Jones in the lobby, but I didn't go up to him. I was like, he's not important enough to me for me to go and ruin his day by being like, hey, you're Loris Terrell. Nice to meet you. Yeah. I'm some cuck. You know what I mean?
Hey man, don't sell yourself
But no,
short.
man, hanging out with Rory and hanging out with Ricky and Ian, who were my scene partners, all great guys and all like different, like, you know what I mean? Very different fellows. Like Ian had been in the he served in the British military. Ricky was this guy from Essex who's like, yeah, you're right, it's cool, like wearing sweatpants and shit, you know what I mean?
Right on, yeah, just a lot of different vibes.
Yeah, and it's cool when you hang out with people who are of different cultures.
Please stand by.
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction's just next level shit.
That's one of those movies.
I'm a Tarantino guy. Like, whatever that guy does.
Yeah, we all are. Every guy's a Tarantino guy, I feel like. I don't know too many guys who say, like, oh, yeah, Tarantino's shit.
I've always enjoyed his movies, yeah. I find him in interviews to be a little bit
oh, he's a maniac.
bizarre, yeah.
Oh, he's a lunatic. All he does is watch movies and TV from, like,
He's someone you could do an impression of for sure if you practice.
What I was trying to do with I was trying to do with the character with like just show the violence.
That sounds like Woody Allen kind of too.
Well, how can you even say that? I'm nauseous. Why? They're calling me a predator. Have they even watched my movies?
Oh man,
the evidence was everywhere. No,
sorry.
One thing I wanted to say before I forget, when I was looking you up on IMDb, you probably know this, but I thought it was hilarious. Your IMDb says 2011, which is, I'm assuming, when you made your page or whatever. But there's a Stephen Love who started his in 2016, but it says Stephen Love, a.k.a. Steve Love. Do you know how much that guy fucking hates you, probably?
Probably,
He has to have the a.k.a. You know, just because the a.k.a. is there, he wants to be Steve Love. He's letting you know, hey, some people call me Steve Love.
Yeah.
It's
No, he probably, his friends
Canadian
call him Steve because it's a less pretentious name than Stephen with a PH. You know what I mean? I'm no Stephen Colbert. I can't be Stephen Colbert, but I can be Steve Love. It'd be Stephen Love doesn't have as good of a ring to it. I think it's just, you just need that.
Stephen Love sounds like he works at a Radio Shack or something.
I think my agent for
Steve Love's like punchy, like boom, Steve Love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Easy, 2 syllables, bam.
That's like, I've never actually said this. Most of my friends know this, but like my name's not Oliver George. That's like my stage name or whatever. It is my middle name, George, but my last name's actually Riley. Okay. And I like my last name. My kids have it and all that, but for like just stage quality, I didn't think it had the same punchiness as Oliver George. The 2 first names thing, I guess, I don't know, it's more memorable. And Riley is...
the issue that the way I see it as a stage name, Oliver Riley, ends with the R,
oh my God, dude, I've said that so many times. Thank you. It sounds like a run-on name. That's what I always tell people. Like Oliver Riley. It's like a drunk guy at a bar, like Oliver Riley. It's just like
not chirping your kid naming skills at all, bro.
No. My brothers call me Ollie too. No one else really calls me
Ollie Riley. Ollie Riley sounds like Ollie
sounds
Riley.
Like the most Irish
sounds
name
like Ollie Riley.
Riley.
No, it sounds like an Australian guy who likes to surf and fuck. Like, fucking Ollie Riley, right? Crushing eyes, right?
Crushing eyes and crush puss.
You fancy a bag?
Yeah, that sounds like a cartoon character idea, like a pitch for a fucking Adult Swim show or something. Ollie Riley, pussy surfer.
Pussy. Yeah. Surfing the twat, mate.
But I don't even know where to go from there.
No, yeah, let's just move on.
Well, I want to bring up the fact that you work at Yuck Yucks because a few of the people, does Tavis work there or no? Or he's just someone who performs? Jesse works there though.
Jesse does work
Jesse
there.
Reynolds.
Now,
Okay, and I've talked to Ashley about coming on. A lot of great people, hilarious people work there.
Yeah, it's great.
So I wanted to talk just like what's that like working in a comedy club, and I also wanted to plug and ask you about the karaoke gig and what's that like, because I don't know. I don't think a lot of people are aware that like after the shows you can fucking hang out and do karaoke, and it's a blast. And Steve's hosting it.
Yeah, it's great. Well, it's either going to be me or Mike Tomafi. Another
So come on, the
another
Steve
hilarious
Weeks. No,
person who worked.
I'm just joking, Mike.
No, yeah. Yeah, it's a great place. It's a great place to work, man. I wouldn't want to work in any other sort of environment because it's just right for me. We're always goofing off and having a good time, and being around comedy all the time.
Learning constantly.
You learn a lot. You
Can only
learn
imagine.
about different styles, different approaches, and you see what the comics are like behind closed doors. You see
Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse.
Well, because you see every level of comic. You see
Different styles and different.
if you're working a Wednesday, new talent showcase, you're gonna see literally everything that the local scene has to offer in terms of like quality,
which ranges.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're gonna see people.
I love amateur nights.
People
man.
who are doing it for the first time, they might crush.
Yeah.
They might
And
absolutely
you're like,
smash
this
a room.
motherfucker's gonna be going somewhere.
And there might be somebody who's been trying it for 17 years who
Doing the
still
same
hasn't
bit.
still hasn't figured it out. That's just the nature of the beast. And when a really good headliner comes through, like we have this weekend with Aaron Berg,
Yeah, I've seen him before. He's very XXX comedy, but he's hilarious.
He is there to ruin people's nights.
Yeah.
And it's so
Dark
funny.
humor,
So
yeah.
very dark and extremely offensive.
Yeah, very sexual, but it's
Very
it's hilarious, well thought out.
Very, he's brilliantly funny,
Mm-hmm.
but his whole thing is like, I'm like, to be as offensive as possible.
Yeah, check your ego at the door because you're gonna like hear some shit.
Yeah, no, like this is what's funny to me. And that's all that really matters. It's like, it doesn't make you a horrible person to say fucked up shit as long as it's funny.
And it's done with in jest,
I love Jim Jeffries in one of his specials breaks down the difference of there's what I think and there's what I think is funny. I might say terrible things that are offensive or insensitive. Doesn't mean that that's who I am as a person. It doesn't mean that that's what I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And too many people think that because this guy made a bad joke that he's a bad person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they just jump right to that instead of going, wait, this is an art form. This is a craft. A lot of people say, like, how many people say shit that's not even remotely true in their act just because it works for a joke or whatever,
Yeah.
I had an experience with Aaron Hill like years ago when I was just dabbling in comedy, and I don't know if he had just started or whatever, but he did a bit about Settlers of Catan, okay? And as I was telling you, I'm a big fan of board games. So after the show, I was like, hey, man, like, you should, come play games sometime. And he was like, oh, I don't actually fucking play games. Like, yeah, I felt like such a nerd. He was like, no, it was just a joke. Like,
Okay.
I think it was Aaron Hill.
Okay.
Who's awesome, by the way. I'm not saying that as a negative.
Oh yeah,
thing. It
no,
was
he's
hilarious.
he's great. He's great. I love his set. Yeah. I even say it in my act. I mean, these things aren't necessarily rooted in truth. It's just you think of something that sounds funny and you just want to try it on stage.
Yeah, give it a shot and see where it goes.
Yeah, and it doesn't. I don't try to be out of my way offensive, but at the same time, I do come up with very insensitive things that I think are hilarious, and sometimes I try them. Sometimes they work. Sometimes they don't. But
you had like really, really bad moments on stage like that where something just like you wanted to freaking jump out a window,
Usually that just happens when they don't laugh. Yeah. No, but anytime you try something that doesn't work,
Yeah.
you feel bad.
Yeah, but you seem like a guy who could rebound really quick and not like you could stay the course, and not let that like fuck your whole setup.
I appreciate that, but I've seen it go both ways.
Right on. Well, you've done way more sets than I have.
Yeah.
The worst sets I've had were usually like really just small rooms with not a lot of people where it's hard to kill when there's 6 people. And,
Oh yeah, and it's all bitter open micers who want you to fail.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dude, I went to a show it was Pub 101 on the top. They're doing a different show there now, so it's not the same thing. I'm not trying to shit on those guys, but I don't remember who was running it at the time, but the stage lights weren't even working. So they were asking people from the audience to use like the lights on their phone to shine on the person on stage because it was a very dark room. So it was like the most ghetto setup you could possibly imagine.
Oh man, imagine being the person who has to hold their arm up like that.
Well, it was like shining it from below. I think more people at their tables. It was like, yeah, if you have a light.
That's not how you do it.
Yeah.
Have you ever taken a selfie? The light's got to be coming down.
Yeah, for the best angle.
God, yeah, no, I don't want like the shadows that it's gonna cast if it's coming from down low.
That's what we do here.
Oh man, I sound like a Kardashian. Jesus Christ.
You're going to look great. I'm telling you, man. Wait till you see this episode.
I can't wait to see it.
We got this bright lighting.
What were we talking about? I think I'm
Tons.
getting a contact high.
Yeah, maybe. A little bit psychic high here.
Maybe weed isn't the
Oh,
problem.
we're talking about Yuck Yucks, though. And I did also want to mention that you're part of the Big Comedy Parade.
Yeah, Big Comedy Parade. It's a name that we took that name after our original concept was like it was a staff show, and we called it Staff Infection.
Yes.
But
I
we
remember
wanted
that.
to
That's
rebrand
hilarious.
so that we could take it outside of the club. So we rebranded as Big Comedy Parade. It's me, Ashley Krichenko, who you mentioned, Chris Boris,
Mitch
who is
of
now
Mitch and Mike.
Mitch of Mitch and Mike.
Chris,
Mike,
sorry,
Mike
I don't
will
wanna cut
also
off
Mike
Chris.
also frequently does Mike will also frequently do guest spots
cool.
on Big Comedy Parade when we do our monthly show.
That makes sense.
The second Sunday.
They're usually inseparable. I think they're exploring New York as we speak.
They are, yeah. Mitch looks like a dangerous person.
And Mitch, you need a belt. Buy a belt,
You
goddammit.
look homeless, Mitch.
Anyways.
Yeah, so
But Chris as well, who's often man in the bar, and he's a super solid dude.
yeah, Chris is a great guy and also a headliner in his own right now.
Yeah,
So,
he's doing well. And finally, Rhinestone, who I'm hoping you can
Rhinestone
help me get in touch with.
also a headliner now. He's headlined the Yuck Yucks Ottawa just a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah, I saw.
Yeah.
I checked out his website
And
because I want to get him on
he
here.
doesn't need stand-up comedy. He's killing it as a magician. He does what's called edgy magic, which is
Well, he does like a comedy routine with
It
his
is.
magic. Yeah.
But magic on its own is like, I think everybody has to have.
There's
Obviously,
no
I haven't
deadpan magician.
I
guess.
haven't been to many magic shows, but I imagine if a magician just goes up, here's a trick. Here's a trick.
It's basically
Here's a
David
trick.
Blaine, though. He was always like, "Hey, I just floated" or whatever, and that was his shtick. Was that like he was so high or didn't care or whatever?
David Blaine is a dead-eyed psychopath. Don't compare everybody to David
I used to enjoy
Blaine.
his stuff, but
Oh man, I love watching black people react to David Blaine's tricks.
magic in general, yeah, the reactions are
they
amazing.
run away when he
they
does like
jump,
the
yeah.
reveal. But like he does like David Blaine is like a whole other podcast because he's a fucking lunatic.
Well, and Chris
I don't know
Angel,
how he does
it was
this
either
stuff.
him or Chris Angel at the time, and I remember thinking like Chris Angel was just too Vegas and showy for me. I didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, he had good tricks too, but
He's like a Dragon Ball Z character when he's doing his tricks.
or like that episode where he just got fucking those hooks through the back, and then he was like transported by a helicopter. And I was like, that's hardcore, but it's not even magic.
No,
like,
yeah, that's
just
just-
like
that's just-
sadistic, I guess, to a
it's-
degree, or masochistic, I should say.
Yeah, it's mutilate. It's him,
Which is
it's
fine. Do
self-mutilation.
your own. That's your body, whatever. But like, I came for some magic. What the fuck?
So, anyways, Rhinestone.
Yes. So Rhinestone.
Amazing, edgy magic. Like, every magician. Yeah, he's.
You think he would come on here though? Because
I will definitely.
I've been trying to get a hold of him, and I haven't actually sent an email yet. But I was just starting to peruse his website. And
I'll definitely reach out to him for
thank you, man. I think it would be a cool guest to have some magic.
He would be a brilliant guest. He's incredibly funny, sweet guy, and his act is just this brilliant marriage of magic and comedy. Because I mean, every time I've seen this guy perform hundreds of times, and every time it's like mind blowing. It never gets old. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Even when you've seen the same tricks, you mean?
I've seen headliners come in like, once a year, twice a year, and like I kind of like see their same set.
Some of the same bits, yeah.
Yeah, they do. Well, like, I mean, unless they like recorded an album recently or something, they're going to be doing almost the same set.
The stuff they know is going to kill. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this, but anyways, so Big Comedy Parade is Rhinestone, Chris Boris, Mitch Muirhead, Ashley Krichenko, and myself, and we always have fun.
And I was going to say, you guys
guests.
like just got nominated for Faces Magazine Award, which is an Ottawa-based magazine. And
We wanted to we wanted to go to the award show and be as upsetting to everyone else as possible. And if you look on
I've seen some
Ashley's
of the
Instagram
pictures.
or Mitch's Instagram, you'll see how Mitch was dressed. and you'll understand what we were going for. I think the original concept was to have Mitch go in a dress, but then that kind of like raises some other issues that are like
2020, probably no one would front on that.
That's the thing.
They'd be like,
though.
this is how he identifies.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's like that thing. It would be a thing where people like are like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like they like give him a weird.
it would have
like,
been pretty funny.
You know what I mean?
So yeah, you guys unfortunately did not win, but I gotta say, while we're on it, congrats to Jesse Reynolds, who is I finally get to say this.
Congratulations, Jesse.
A friend of the show, Jesse Reynolds.
Friend to us all. Yeah, Jesse will also he'll also do guest spots on.
Check out his
Bacon
episode
Parade.
on here too, episode 11 11.
Yeah.
So yeah, before we, I'm gonna ask you my last question I ask everybody, but I did want to mention that you are also an actor, and besides Game of Thrones, I mean, you did some work for CBC too, right? Where you played a serial killer.
Not a serial
Or a murderer?
killer, but yes, a murderer. If anyone who was around Barhaven in 2005 or 2006 would remember the Jennifer Teague case.
Oh yes, that was terrible.
She
worked at Wendy's or something, right?
Yeah, she worked at Wendy's, and this guy followed her home, kidnapped her basically, and ended up killing her.
Good Lord.
It's it was a terrible thing that happened, but apparently I was the right guy to play Kevin Davis, or the right guy in the Ottawa-Montreal region to play Kevin Davis.
Well, someone has to play the guy realistically.
I mean, yeah, and as far as acting jobs go, it was. I mean, the series is called The Detectives.
Mm-hmm.
It's a CBC program that's a true crime reenactment.
Canadian stories.
Canadian crime stories told by the detectives in interview format, and then cut together with reenactments of, what it was like for the detectives working the case, and then how the case unraveled.
Supposed events and...
Yeah, and so there was, it was...
That must have been heavy to do. I mean, you want to pay
was-
respect to the incredible loss of life there,
Yeah, and, her parents
Someone
were...
so young.
Her parents were on set.
Oh, good Lord. That must have been so
I
heavy.
I kind of kept my distance because I didn't want to overstep any sort of boundaries they might have had.
Of course.
As far as an acting job goes, it's not. You're not really the center of the story because it's being told from the actual detective who worked the case. You're hearing their sort of recollection of the events that occurred. So the reenactment is sort of secondary to that, but you're still doing the best job you can.
Was it like a speaking role, or was it just reenacting like sort of the movements while they're narrating over top?
No,
You had lines, yeah.
lot of dialogue.
Oh, okay.
A lot of dialogue.
This I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, there were scenes where I was getting questioned or interrogated, I guess.
Yeah.
Scenes where I'm frantically talking to my lawyer. There was a scene where I was supposedly on like 10 grams of mushroom. This really happened. So this dude did like 10 grams of magic mushrooms and then went into the streets naked, screaming, "I killed Jennifer Teague."
Oh Jesus! So
yeah.
he was having obviously
He was he had a
crazy
guilty
guilt.
Well, the story goes he had this weird, super weird confession, and then he did like a full confession.
Trying to
And then
repent or something?
recanted on it when it came time to go to trial. Like he was looking for some sort of plea deal or something initially. I think he just wanted to like clean his conscience.
Yeah.
And then
And psychedelics will force you to do that.
yeah, and then I suppose after he talked to a lawyer, he decided that he was going to play the whole, "Oh, I was out of my mind. I was on drugs when I said that. I didn't really mean that." The way they caught him was that they had kept the actual crime scene hidden from public knowledge. So when he gave his confession and showed the cops where he
and it was
where
accurate.
where he left the body,
Oh shit!
he was the only one who could have known, and that's how they got him.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was
So
was
he's still behind bars, or is he dead or something now? Or
he's behind bars. Yeah. As far as I know, I actually haven't.
I know a lot of guys
looked
that
up
pick-
the last I
pick on
checked, this was
kids
a few years ago that I played this. This was back in 2018. Was when I was working the job. So I'm not sure. Maybe
I know that, like, I've heard that when
maybe he
people,
got out somehow, but he's as far as I know, he should be incarcerated.
They say that though, right? That if someone like does a crime related to underage people, that usually the other criminals will like kill or beat the shit out of that person. Like they fucking hate pedophiles in jail. And
I should have done my. I should have. I didn't think you would ask me about the detectives. I wasn't.
hey man,
I'm not,
try to dig deep. You know.
I'm trying to. Yeah, I'm trying to.
Well, I've followed, like I
recollect,
said at the beginning, I've followed your advancements in your career, because you're someone that like I go, oh, this guy's like my age. He's in Ottawa. He's making it work. He's accomplishing things. I got to get an agent, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's honestly the hardest part, is getting an agent.
I've got some stuff. I did a holiday movie where I got to play the guitarist in a band, and that had some.
Oh yeah, that's
big
great,
names,
and that's what keeps this industry afloat. This local industry afloat is those.
I did a Canada Post video I think it was in the summer too. It was something that they were only going to show within their company for their employees, but it was something about like, if you're stressed out, tell your boss. And I played like the boss being like, "Are you okay?" Or,
oh really?
I don't think we even had to say anything. It was all like,
so it was like a training video?
Pantomime. Yeah, some sort of training or mental health awareness thing for their employees. So it was sweet. It was like 3 hours. I got like a few $100 or whatever, you know.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
you
man.
just keep doing that shit, and then eventually you have a resume. You know what I mean?
Smythe Casting is great for that, because they'll put stuff on Facebook where,
exactly.
Especially if you just want to be an extra. I mean, extra work's kind of like minimum wage or whatever, but it's a cool experience, and it's a lot of time you're sitting around doing what the fuck you want on your phone, and then you just go and be in a scene for a couple minutes.
Well, you can. Yeah, it's good to
getting
to have more experiences, and and meet
being on a
people.
set.
If this is something that you want to do, you just got to meet people. Really, it's all networking, and once people know you, then they start to see you as more of a business partner than as someone who just wants to. As just another person trying to break in. Mm-hmm. You have to be nurturing relationships is very important in any business, and especially in show business. You look at how collaborative it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and especially in Ottawa, where we have like a really emerging market for this stuff. It's still very.
Are they ever going to build that studio that they've?
Yeah, I've talked about this with a couple other people. It seems like they were talking about it for a while now, but. It's
Ottawa.
Either way, we're doing well.
It's Ottawa. The LRT took like 20 years, right? Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Exactly. Perfect example.
Yeah.
Well, they're shooting something with Mel Gibson right now. I think some Fat Santa movie or something, and that's Smythe Casting as well.
Yeah.
We're supposed to have her on here. I think Ilona Smythe's coming on.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully late March. We're still talking, but hopefully
I could put in a good word with you.
Oh, okay. Cool. I've talked to her once on the phone actually.
Ilona's great. She's great at what she does.
Very wise.
She's super knowledgeable, and she's a great person.
I felt really awkward because I talked to her on the phone once because my mom is in in some sort of a craft, or what is like a knitting group or something, right?
Craft.
It's like a ladies craft group, and I guess Ilona's mom Ilona's mom is in it as well, and I guess they got to talking or something like that. So as moms do, they're like, oh, I'll get her to call, or you should get your son to call my daughter and I'll make her answer, basically. So I felt like when she answered, it was a little bit forced, like she was doing it to make her mom happy kind of thing, but she was still super nice and gave me a lot of really good advice, one of which was something I saw her reiterate to other people on the set of that movie that I did, where she was taking these kids around for some sort of course, I'm assuming about film or whatever, and she told them to try to be the biggest fish in the small pond as opposed to the opposite, and trying to move to LA and make it, like, you know what I mean? Like, so I really took that to heart, and I think I've been doing that with this podcast. Is just like, hey, there's fucking interesting people all over the city, and if I can get them into my basement, we can just talk and just chill, and here we go, and it's going great. So so thank you for that, Ilona.
Yeah, Ilona's the best. She's been a good mentor to me, and somebody who I can it's just an ally in this weird fucked up industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she seems to know a lot of cool people and be a cool person herself. So I hope to get to know her better as well. We should probably start wrapping up soon. I know you got to do karaoke.
Oh,
tonight.
yeah, I got to get going now.
Hey, man, you lose track of time when you're having fun, right?
Yeah.
So I got to ask you the superpower question we ask everybody. If you could have a superpower magically endowed upon you, what would it be and why? This is not a character, but just a power, and no flying, because we ruled that out a while ago.
You know what? Okay, so I'll give you my grade 7 answer first, and this is funny because like I think it goes back to the whole with slipping into different characters. I love that episode of Family Guy where there's that episode where Peter has like the morphing ability.
Yeah,
he can just turn into
a sandwich.
He morphs into Britney Spears and morphs into whatever he wants.
Yeah,
I thought that would be the coolest power ever.
That's what I've said when people turned the question
Yeah.
on me and asked. Yeah.
No, because in my grade 7 brain, I was thinking like I could morph into myself with a giant hog, just a massive meat mallet between my legs, and it would be like I would have the perfect life. You know what I mean?
Oh,
That
man.
was how I thought in grade 7.
I love that that's what you would use it for.
No, but you
Look
could
exactly the same. Just a couple more inches.
but like also you'd be able to play around with it.
Yeah, you could fuck
I'm
with so
not
many
talking about
people
the
and
dick.
you could prank
But
and troll people like no one's business.
I think honestly that I wouldn't like I'm looking at other people's superpowers right here. Like super speed would be fucking awesome. Super strength.
When
would
people
be
say
fucking
super speed, I
awesome.
go like, yeah, but why not pick teleportation then?
I think you should just I would just say Superman because like there's
No, that's why we say no
he has-
characters because it's too.
Oh, no characters.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or Chris
okay.
said the Force, shit like that. Like it's got to be one power. But hey, man, I honestly the shape changing makes sense for you and
Okay, I'll go. I would go shapeshifter. Yeah.
shapeshifter. All
Yeah.
right.
'Cause I already have the voice. I already have the voice for it. I just need to be like, De Niro in Raging Bull or Matthew McConaughey or some shit.
Indistinguishable. Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of cocaine while I've been preparing for this role,
I have a question.
so I got scared.
Sure. Yeah. My dad's got a question for you.
Go
ahead.
Has anybody ever said you look a little bit like Jim Carrey?
I get some Jim Carrey comparisons when I like after shows and stuff like that, just because I'm so goofy and
I was-
lanky and
His facial structure on the camera, especially like when you're talking to Ollie, I keep going, Jesus, he looks a lot like.
Got that rubber face.
Well, yeah, I don't have a beard right now, so maybe that has something to do with
I
it.
was gonna
appreciate the comparison though.
When you brought up Jim Jeffries, I was going to say you kind of have a Jim Jeffries
Yeah.
haircut and vibe to you, but
Yeah, I do a great Jim Jeffries impression if you want to hear
sure,
it.
sure.
These cunts over here, ain't in America, and I was over in London. Then you come to America and they got guns. They're
Yeah,
like,
that's
right,
uncanny.
right. I'm a fucking comedian, right?
That's so good. Okay, shit, man. Well, we normally high five at the end, so let's do that before I forget.
Great podcast.
Thank you, man. But can you? I think it'd be hilarious if you can do any character you want.
Tell
But
me
the
what you
Christopher Walken was amazing. Just say something like, subscribe to Just Chill Podcasting or something like that.
Hello, I didn't see you there. I'm a fan of the Just Chill podcast. You should subscribe to Oliver's channel, Just Chill Podcast.
Oh my
It's
God.
great.
Thank
I'm
you.
a fan.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Thanks for having
Honestly,
me.
thanks.
Man.
I really appreciate your time.
No, man, it's a pleasure.
Cool.
Pleasure being here, man.
Oh shit.
And I wish you the best.
Yeah,
This
come back
this is
anytime,
such
dude.
a cool setup, and you guys were great.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
That was cool, man.
That was a lot of fun.